season of the NHL was supposed to be one of celebration, and in fact the season began with all kinds of celebrations. But this season is very much in danger of ending without celebration, of ending in disastrous fashion. The NHL had never suffered through a player strike in the 75 years. That has now changed. At 3 o'clock Eastern Time, we all heard the news we didn't want to hear, but what we expected to hear. Over the next hour, not one half hour, but the next hour, Sports Desk will look at the story from many different perspectives. We'll hear from players, from owners, from fans, and we'll try to analyze it all for you and figure out what are the chances of this being resolved in the near future. We begin with the announcement, the dreaded announcement from Bob Goodenow, and we begin our report with Gord Miller in Toronto.
The NHL Players Association chose the Skydome Hotel as the location for its news conference. This building may be the site of baseball games next week, but Bob Goodenow is here to say that as of now, the hockey season is over. In postponing the strike deadline by 2 days, Bob Goodenow wanted a mandate from the NHL players. He got one in resounding fashion.
The vote results prove the player dissatisfaction with the owner's final offer. That offer was rejected by a vote of 560 to 4. On its face, the ballot stated that the player could accept or reject the owner's last proposal, but that a vote to reject was a vote to strike at 3 p.m. April 1st, 1992.
But in announcing the strike, Goodenow also confirmed that he had spoken to John Ziegler earlier in the day and that he would speak to him again. Goodenow said the possibility of further talks was there, but only if the owners were serious.
The question is, are the owners prepared to continue negotiations and use this time for this constructive purpose?
I think the window of opportunity right now to keep the playoffs alive, I think, is very small. I think we have to take advantage of that window of opportunity over the next few days and try and get some kind of an agreement. If we can't, I don't believe that there will be any playoffs, and we'll be well into next season.
The negotiating committee was joined on the podium by players from 3 teams, Toronto, Montreal, and the New York Islanders. And as the clock struck 3, the realization set in that these men were on strike.
I don't feel very good about being on strike at all. It's something that goes against the grain, I think, for all of us. It certainly does for me as a player. Sometimes you have to let your convictions and what you believe is right and what you believe is right for players coming up and the Players Association in general. You have to let those feelings take over, and I think that each and every member of this committee has done just that.
When we voted, we were told to expect a long strike. Hopefully it won't turn out that way, but we're ready for it.
You feel like you've had a good season as a hockey club, and the possibility of winning the cup is there. But we're all part of the union, and we got to look at at the present and down the road.
It's not an easy situation, not one that we wanted to be in, but sometimes you have to take your stance. And as for a Canadian, we did have a good season, and it's. I don't think the season is over yet because there's still hopes, but we have to be ready for everything that can happen, and it's unfortunate that it has to come to that.
For now, there is a strike, but there is also hope. Hope that negotiations can continue, that perhaps an agreement can be reached to save this season. But Bob Goodenow made it clear that it is now up to the owners to make the move. And for more on the owner's point of view, here is Gino Reda.
John Ziegler and a number of the members of his Board of Governors watched the news conference from behind closed doors here at the Sutton Place Hotel. Shortly after the strike became official, Ziegler wouldn't speak with us, but did release this statement. It is with deep regret that I advise that effective 3:01 p.m. Eastern, April 1st, 1992, I have declared the 1991-92 NHL season suspended on a day-to-day basis until further notice. This action is required by reason of the unprecedented and regretful decision of the National Hockey League Players Association to go on strike. Our concerns are for and with the great fans of hockey who will suffer the most from the action taken today by the NHLPA. Those actions brought words of disbelief and frustration from a number of the owners on hand.
It looks very clear to me, from what I just heard from the Skydomes, that they still not believe it. And we didn't do the job we were supposed to do, because our job was to convince them that was the case.
Suppose
The owners continue to feel the major stumbling block at this point is the Players Association's refusal to believe the financial figures they've submitted with their final offer.
They have to believe our numbers. They have to believe that more than the majority of the team won't be able to leave with that offer for 1 year. It's possible that we get teams going under during the next month, the 12 months, just by our offer, not with their last demand, our last offer.
We keep hearing that the players don't believe our numbers, and, you know, our backs are against the wall. Our teams are not making money. There's teams that are in serious trouble, and we can't just give what we don't have to give, and so it's a real tough situation for everybody.
Bob Goodenow made it clear that they are very serious about getting negotiations back underway as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, just moments after the news conference ended at Skydome, Goodenow and a number of the player reps arrived at the Sutton Place Hotel to begin yet another set of closed-door negotiations.
And at 4 o'clock, the owners and players did begin to meet. They met for about 30 minutes' time. What was discussed in that meeting? We'll find out right now with one of the gentlemen who was in that meeting. The general manager of the New York Islanders, Bill Torrey, now joins us. Bill, what can you tell us about that initial meeting between yourselves and the players?
Well, more or less it was to bring our side up to date as to what has transpired since the vote was taken and announced, and Bob wanted to more or less broaden things a little bit as to what took place at his press conference, and obviously he had talked to John Ziegler earlier today and said that he had some of the members of the executive board from the Players Association coming into town and wanted to try and set up a meeting later today to bring everybody up to date.
So now the owners are meeting upstairs in a room amongst themselves. The players are also doing the same and strategizing. Where do you go from here? What is the timeline?
Bob indicated to us when we broke off that he'd like to spend some time with the players to discuss some of the various issues, and that he would like to meet with us probably sometime within the next 30-35 minutes.
Now, do you set forth another proposal right now, or do you say to them, this is our final offer as you did before, and try to help them to understand your position a little clearer? Marcelo Booth spoke a little earlier today and said, the fact of the matter is the players just don't understand our situation well enough.
Well, part of what obviously we will do is to review the various positions, to explain the reasons for the position that we've taken, and answer any questions that any of the player reps themselves might have.
Announced that they were departing in the evening. The announcers didn't announce anything yesterday. So day 2 of the strike is buoyed by really no optimism, no realistic chance of a fast solution being arrived at. But at least 2 of the principal figures are still spending some face-to-face time together. Let's go live to the Sutton Place Hotel, where Gord Miller's been all day. Are these negotiations, talks, explorations? What are they calling them?
How about suspended animation, Michael? That's kind of the state we're in right now. These are not negotiations. They are more or less discussions about how to get negotiations beginning. I suppose the good news is that John Ziegler and Bob Goodenow are still meeting, but there have been no full negotiations as the NHL's first league-wide strike moved into its second day.